Yeah. So we here. We back at it again. This is episode 2 from the podcast. I did not know. I didn't know. I always say did not. No use to proper English. So I didn't know. And going into I did not know, or I keep saying it, I didn't know. Going into I didn't know, I'm gonna talk about knowledge is power. A lot of people, just don't have the knowledge, so they don't have the means to do things. You know, you got businesses have been developed just off the strength of people not knowing information or things or how to. Say for instance, AAA, you know, it's just I say roadside rescue because don't really start like naming names of business. Even though it's not really nothing going against these businesses. But say for instance, like a roadside company, they business is strongly developed on people not knowing the ability how to change their own tires, check, troubleshoot certain things, check the battery, see if the battery connection is okay, see if they have gas. You won't believe how many people have issues with their car because they ran out of gas. Some knowingly and some unknowingly because they're such a rush that they're not even checking, for things. So that's how you end up running out of gas because you generally is not you're not checking. So roadside rescue, a lot of times they help out in the clinch as well because you don't have gas. How can you properly fuel your car to to get to the gas station? Nobody's riding around with gas in their trunk unless you have a truck and you have gas there, but mainly you using that gas for something, to the extent. So when it comes down to it, you have other financial companies. And to the shocking of this, they love when people don't know things. I talk about buying homes, learning real estate, things of that nature. You know how many people generally don't want to take the time because you're buying a house? You're just going off of whatever somebody tells you. They can tell you when buying this house, all you need is $2. You get to the closing table, you need $2,700, or you need $2,000. Well, I didn't say $2. I said $2,000. This is a thing, something that never changes. Mostly depending on, you know, most people when you put up your earnest money, it could be $1,000, but generally you can change that. But to a degree, most people, could put up $1,000 earnest. I've seen bigger deals go for more than that, and the way that the person that's selling their house wants to construct certain things, they can say, well, make it be 500, make it be, 5,000. It depends. But knowing that knowledge, that's like one of the biggest things. A lot of people fail from a lack of knowledge. You know, I was looking at this interview with Kevin Hart, and he was talking about giving the information and stuff. But to me, he's giving minimal information to some people and max to others. You know, one of the biggest things that, kind of hit our community hard and you don't see in many places are check cashing places. Easy place to go in there. You get paid, cash your check for, a sum of money, you know, and to the degree, it holds a certain type of weight when dealing with, other communities compared to, it's not even just as a black or a white thing. It's just the community, the area, the neighborhood you stay in, you know. So with the check cashing places, you literally have it to where you go and give your money there for a percentage. And he was talking about taking the money, getting a bank, taking the money, putting it in that bank where you won't have to keep paying all this money over. Even though banks hold fees for transactions and holding your money, there's most banks with no fees. You have internet banks. They've come a long way from going down to the bank, filling out paperwork, they checking your credit, this and that, and kind of looking at you a certain way. So now you just go online, find your internet bank. This internet bank is set up with different facilities for you to deposit money, check deposit straight to your account. So, you know, the days of people going to check cash in places and, just taking that fee, $25 and a percentage, 5%, 7% of your check out fees, those days, I remember when I was young and I had an account. But it was to the point where they had to hold those checks if it wasn't direct deposit. I would just go cash my check at a check cashing place, just on the strength of me, man, I need this money right now, you know. So let me go ahead and cash it real quick. Let me go ahead and do this so I can get this money now, not knowing that I'm putting myself in a bind. Why am I always giving money when I don't have to? One of the biggest things my friend told me is he do not like paying fees. At any cost, if he can avoid it, he would always pay his bills early, if not on time, but early. He would always research to try to get the better deal, and that should be present to most people. But, the lack of knowledge, just getting by and having an understanding that over time, just getting by, I mean, it's kind of rough, you know, to a degree. How many people, just want to live their life on just getting by? Like, those are the main things that a lot of people tend to follow because of why, in society, that's the only thing that they're taught, just to get by, pay these bills, you know, get your credit card, pay the minimum every month so they won't cancel your card. Not knowing that, you know, on average, most of the wealthy, they use their credit cards every single month, max them out, and before the due date. I didn't know that the time in your statement where your bill is due, there's a date before that they process all payments and then come up with that bill date, the bill amount statement. I just thought at the end of, you know, pretty much when they give you the bill, that's occurred all that month. Yes, that's true. But before that, they have a date to where everything is accrued. They total it up, and a few days later, there comes your statement bill. And what I pretty much, looked at, if I can sit here and find out what day that is, I'll pay before that date, so it won't report to my credit as negative and me going over my 30% usage, and which hits my credit. Same as well, you could go and call your credit card company and literally tell them that you want your bill, the process, your payment date structured right around before it gets processed. So the day before all your credit cards get processed and they come up with that amount, you can have your bill date due before that, 3 days or so many days before that, however, and you could pay on that time. And when the due date comes out, it'll already be zeroed out. So doing that, you'll have a better advantage. Your credit will be more, up to par, and you'll have what it takes, But that's the biggest thing. I didn't know this. I had to figure this out by looking at YouTube videos, by talking to people. Once I found somebody on YouTube, I always go do my research. I look at other videos. I ask people, and they say, "Yeah, you didn't know that." Mainly, I get it from a lot of elder people, and I say, "No, nobody taught me this." Oh, okay. I thought everybody knew this. There's certain things that a lot of the elders. I've said this in previous conversations with people on my other show, talking from She We Hear, that when it come down to it, there's a lot of elders that don't teach any knowledge because, to a degree, some of them think you're not ready. Some of them actually hold the knowledge from you, but some of them think you're not ready. I told the story of my cousin. You know, he had a situation to where his dad, had several investment properties, all this. And by the time he was in his 20s, he just thought buying a house was out of reach. He didn't know, after doing research, found out about these programs to buying homes. When I talked to him, I was like, yeah, this and this. You can afford this. You could do this. You could do that. And he was like, yeah, I didn't know this stuff. My dad knew it, but he didn't ever teach me the knowledge. And I asked him, did you ever ask? He's like, no. I said, well, that comes from a point of you being ready for the knowledge and taking the responsibility when you get the knowledge and doing something with it. How many people retain knowledge and just let it sit in their head or just push it out? You know, getting a credit card, getting a secure credit card. This is another hack I found. Getting a secure credit card and get a high, high payment. Throw out 5,000, 10,000 if you can. You know, most people just come in there on a $500,000. Did you know that if you get a secure credit card, you keep the payments on them low, you actually apply discipline. Don't you know that within that secure credit card, within a year or so, they will literally give you the 5,000 or 10,000 that you put on that card, give you that money back, and start you off with an unsecured credit card for the amount because you were so disciplined with that. A lot of people don't know that because why? No one passes the information. You know, when I got my first secure credit card, I put down $500. Guess what? I got a $500 limit. My friend, he put down 1,500, and guess what? He got a $1,500 limit. And I was like, wow. And the difference between him doing it and I'm doing it, the bank literally told me just to do $500. His mother told him to do more, so he did 15. His mother knew how that system worked. So when he was telling his mom about me getting a secure credit card and then getting an unsecured card, same rule applied, but she was like, no, the more you put down, the more they'll give you when they give you a unsecured card. It's just like I said, just knowledge to where nobody knows this unless someone's teaching or telling. Kevin Hart talked about this and brought me to want to do this information. Just like I say about buying a house. A lot of people don't know about FHA, that, you don't pay no PMI on these loans. A lot of people look at, if I get a house, mortgage, that mortgage protection, they're going to want protection on that mortgage. So they're going to give you a PMI on there, high interest rate, depending on what type of loan you go with. And see, that's always the biggest thing going on. That's always the biggest thing. When it comes to the knowledge, man, like, how many of us are actually passing this knowledge on? I always say it's laughter, it's fun and games, but when it gets to a point, I didn't know. So who's actually teaching this knowledge? And this is one of the things that I say I have, 4 kids. These are the things I have to teach my kids, the knowledge. 3 boys, 1 daughter. So I'm literally having to be on top of this information because they need to know this information. I always talk about with Alonzo. Me trying to put my kids in a room with Alonzo because, for instance, Alonzo talks about life insurance. My kids have policies through Alonzo. So therefore, they need to understand what does their policy entail. There's certain things I don't know in detail about their policy. Alonzo can help them out. For one, he built the policy for them. Two, he knows policies. So even if they get a policy through somebody else or they stick with Alonzo, the thing is, Alonzo can walk them through the process. Ask that as a loan officer, because he deals in houses as well, what is this is qualifying for? What is this going for? Did you get an inspection? How was the inspection? You know, what's the process on this? Same thing with, real estate. I have a friend in real estate. I had him on my show, before. Actually gonna bring him up on I did not know, I didn't know episodes as well, you know, for him to talk and give some reference to my boys, you know, let them understand this. This is a big thing to where people suffer from a lack of knowledge. Some people die from a lack of knowledge. And it all depends on, you know, what environment you at, who's around you, who's going to give you the proper tools to live and, you know, succeed in life, who's going to help you, who's going to hurt you, you know. And the biggest thing is having that, intact family helping you, you know. I'm steady listening to guys and on YouTube, listening to different spaces, listening to the women talk and trying to retain some type of knowledge. I can learn from anybody, whether it be man, whether it be woman, whether it be elders, all the way down to, infants. You know, they teach you in mannerisms and movements when it's time for them to use the bathroom. As toddlers teach you mannerism, movements, the way they react to they want things. They can't speak, but they can point. They can, show movement. You'll pick up on behavior habits. You learn from that. Same thing as well with adults. They can literally tell you. They can talk to you. They can inform you. You know how many elder people went through things and they came back and said, if you're going to go through this is the process you're going to need to do in order to learn, in order to be. This is the only way. There's other ways, it'll get you there slower. This way will get you there faster. You know how many times that, I bumped my head because I had no one there to help me with the lesson, you know, the process. I tell my wife this all the time. When it comes down to it, people start, but they never finish and complete the lesson. I always compare it to being in karate. You have your blue belt, red belt, all that. You never make it to the black belt because you never finish the process. There's a lot of people that never finish the process in life. And when you don't finish the process on the knowledge, you get held back. Let's see if people get into an IT, And Kay, you talked about this on your channel the other day. See you in the comments. K Business Podcast. Shout out to that brother. You were literally talking about how you know what I'm saying, have developments, have different programs set up, have, your classes for people to learn things, get certifications. You're giving out knowledge every single time you have these courses and these classes for people, but who's willing to come? Pay for this knowledge. That's the thing. You can actually go out here, learn certain things. You can get that faster with people that are real knowledgeable and they're actually giving genuine and good information. And that's always the key when going into that. having somebody with the information and the knowledge to kind of, her. That's always a better way of handling things than structure. You know, passing that learning curve to actually get to the lesson and the things at hand. You know, even in business, I've ran different business with people, and I've done my own business. But in general, me actually learning the knowledge on trying to, do things for myself, organize the way other people we have done together or structure things for myself. That's always like the biggest key of me learning different processes. Learning how to do it from others and, taking the knowledge and applying it to do it for myself. You know, a lot of times we lack in knowledge because why? We don't have strong teachers. There's no one there to teach us. We don't have the strong support system in our families. You know, there's no way that any child should be suffering to a degree in certain skills because for one, as a parent, you should go out there and seek someone to help that child. And then for two, you should be able to put up some money to pay for that child. I always talk about with my son, struggling in math and I'm getting him a tutor. I always talk about my son when he was struggling starting off because things were foreign to him, even though he learned them last year. It's the mindset. And I always go into you first have to structure the root of the problem, you know. And with him, his thing was he was always frustrated because math to most is relatively hard because knowing equations, always remembering numbers and things. And a lot of times, I always say this about reading. A lot of people, like especially now in school, they try to teach you off of memory, you know, versus reading a word. If you repetitively say this word and look at it so many times, you're not actually pronouncing the word. You're coming off of memory. Same thing with math. It's repetitive. 2 plus 2 is 4. 2 plus 2 is 4. You keep saying that and you see 2 plus 2, you're going to automatically know 4. But taking the time, looking 2 plus 2, 2 fingers, 1, 2, 3, 4, there you go. It's simple and it's quite easy, but it gets confusing to most because the mindset is already saying, this is hard. This is not easy. I don't want to do this. I really don't want to do this. So then hence the pushback on it, the information is not accepting. So therefore you start pushing it more and more away to where anytime this situation comes out, it's too hard for you to take. You can't develop your mind around, this being something that you can look forward to, actually taking on because it comes with a lot of challenges. And people who are scared of challenges or don't want to rise to the occasion, they're going to always push it away. So you got to, find that point of dedication and see the influence that can inspire that person to go forth to the right, point in time. Hence the knowledge, being power. And I've always talked to my son about this too because I tell him, he wanted, ever since I was a little kid, I always brought him around, showed him car shows, and he always had an interest in electric cars. So Tesla being one of the companies that he first came about, he's seen Fiesta Carmen's, he's seen Lucid, he's seen just Prius. But his whole image on Tesla, the way it's designed, the monitor, the cameras, the updates, all the way down to his brother actually working for Tesla, starting, in the detail department and moving up. But the point is, you know, his experience is getting more and more into that mindset of wanting to own that dealership. And I told him, math is going to be a big part of you owning your dealership. So let's take the steps. Let's take what you need in order to be successful in this by starting now. And let's don't wait 20 years down the line for you to consider getting it right. Let's start right now and go from there. And so with that being said, it sparked a conversation for him to, stay focused, adhere to what he needs to do. You know, sometimes he fall off the wagon, but that's what most kids, the attention span. So a lot of times we put ourselves in situations due to our mindset. So, that's what getting us in line. We got to get these skills and strategies and learning how to, keep our mind focused, keep ourselves on task, and adhere to what we need to do in order to be successful. And a lot of times, you'll have influences, you'll have people around you that don't want to see you succeed. Not all the time. You got some people that are willing to work with you, help with you, and push you forward. But like I say, you also have those people that just don't want to see you succeed. Everything is pretty much on you as, being dead weight, dropping down, not being as successful as you should be, not being focused, not being dedicated. Because why? Then you'll be better than me. Why would I want you to be better than me when I want to be better than you? It's a competition to the race with most friends and family. So that's where we kind of bump heads on, and someone's doing better. You got to have that mindset to where if I'm learning the knowledge, I'm passing it on. You know, and I always talk about this. I had a situation with one of my friends, and the biggest thing with him was he was always saying, I'm always talking about money, 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 and money is the root of all evil. And the thing that I always, kind of announce and I tell people too, what that is, to a degree, we say that, but money is not the root of all evil. Money is the means, you know, to people doing with the money. That's the root of the evil. What do you do with the money? That makes it the root. You can buy a gun to protect your family. That's a good thing. But if you're buying a gun to harm someone, then you can consider that being the root of all evil. But point of reference is this, taking that knowledge and passing it on to others, whether they want it or not, you have to cut it off. It depends on if you have friends that are willing to accept at any given cost, cool. But if not, you have to move on and give that knowledge to somebody else. Not a lot of people are wanting to retain knowledge that can help them. So you got to move along. Now, the people that are wanting to retain that knowledge to help them, those are people you can work with. Those are people you can thrive with. Those are the people that, you can influence to be better, do better, and so forth. But it only comes with their mindset being open and free. You know, I can only help those who want to be helped. If you don't want to be helped, I got to meet you where you are. And that's the point where some people we have to focus on is meeting people where they are. So with that being said, I'm about to get ready to get off of here, but just knowing some key things. Focus on yourself. Try to learn as much knowledge as you can. So when you do have kids and willing to and get them to that point to where they need the knowledge is there. If you have kids and you don't have the knowledge, seek people who have the knowledge and give it to them. Have an understanding. Like I said, when I find out information, I go research. I go find out, talk to other people, not just online researching and reading articles, because anybody can post something online, whether it be true or false. You got to take it steps further ahead than that. There's a lot of gurus out here that's telling you that they can get you paid, they can get you millions of dollars, but at the same time, at what cost? And is that information genuine? Is it worth it? The point of it is you. You got to make determine that decision about that. But like I always say, we here and we gone.